215 is such a safe haven.
He's just waving his arms
215
like
is
that.
legislated by Congress. I was doing metadata collection under the President's raw Article 2 authorities from October 7th, 2001 forward. The 215 program doesn't begin with the Patriot Act. It begins with the private order I got from President Bush. And we decided it was lawful and consistent with the President's authorities as Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah, there you go. We don't need any stinking laws. He says, he's just waving his hands. I don't need that. Shaking his head, points at, I had an order from the president. Do you understand where we are? We are no longer a nation of law, of rules. We have a rule by a dictator. And we have people like Michael Hayden say, hey, I've got an authorization from the president. This didn't start with Obama. Don't give me your partisan nonsense. This started with George Bush. It started before him. It is bipartisan. All of these guys do this. It doesn't matter. It didn't even start with George W. Bush. It goes way back beyond that. But they openly admit it. He gets up before a bunch of law students, and basically brags about how he doesn't need a law from Congress. That would be unconstitutional if anybody were to challenge it. Of course, they're not challenging it. But it's a violation of the Constitution. And he says, I don't even need that law, that violation of the Constitution. I had an order from the president. I can do anything I want if the president orders me. That's admission that we are living under a police state, military dictatorship, and they're just fine with it. Well, you know what? I'm not fine with it. And I hope you aren't either. We need to understand what's going on. And let me tell you where the next bunch of this stuff is coming from. Of course, it is coming from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's where they're headed. An article today from the New American says that the Obama GOP, because it's the Obama administration working with the GOP leadership and with a lot of people in the Democratic Party, let's be clear, this is a bipartisan thing. It wouldn't have mattered with NAFTA whether Clinton was elected or whether George H.W. Bush was elected. They would have, either one of them would have pushed this thing through. But of course, it's easier for them to get it through when they've got a Democrat in as president because he provides a beard for them. But the Obama and GOP trade, quote unquote trade, they put it in quotes, this trade scheme includes unrestricted immigration. Alex Newman points out that the establishment GOP-backed Trans-Pacific Partnership is being touted by the White House as the most progressive trade agreement in history is really a Trojan horse to advance Obama's unrestricted immigration agenda. See, it's not just going after the internet. It's not just establishing CISPA through a back door. It's not about just forcing people to buy your products, holding a gun to their head, saying, you're going to buy my GMO food, whether you like it or not. Australia, New Zealand, other countries that may have banned this internally. No, we've got this trade agreement, so you're going to buy this stuff. That's the way crony capitalism is now operating in the 21st century. They hold a gun to your head and tell you, you've got to buy this insurance that Obama has mandated. And we're going to tell you what level of insurance that you need. We're going to sell you insurance that you don't need at a highly inflated price, and you don't have any say-so about it. That's the way all of this stuff is going to be rolling out. And we're going to talk about how they're taking away ownership, even with the farmers, even with their tractors. This is not something about the trade unions trying to fight free trade. Okay, this is not unions versus free trade. This is globalist, multinational control by the corporations working with the government to spy on you. And they go on to point out in this New American article, despite harsh rhetoric, Republican leaders in the Congress have promptly caved right after the election to the White House demands on amnesty. Now they fail to even mention the TPP immigration schemes, even though we now see that it's an entire chapter on it. And of course, the only way that we know anything about any of this is when it is leaked by WikiLeaks. Why is it that we have to have espionage to find out what is going on? If that's what they want to call it, that's what the NSA calls it. I don't call it espionage. Why do we have to sneak around and hack into places to even find out what our elected leaders are up to? What kind of a government are we living under? Oh, that's right. We're living under a government where the president can order and do anything, where there is no transparency, where they operate as a full-on dictatorship. And that's what this Trans-Pacific Partnership is about. Now, today is Earth Day. And we have an article up on InfoWars about the record number of drivers who are trading in electric cars for SUVs. Obama, they say, promised to put in 1 million more hybrid electric cars on the road during his tenure, and he's doing that by giving people big subsidies, $7,500 subsidy to trade in to buy an electric car. But when people are trading in their electric cars, guess what? More than half of them are not buying electric cars. And 22% of them are getting SUVs. They didn't even want $7,500 as a tax credit. They'd rather have an SUV. And we're going to talk about ownership of cars and ownership of everything. When we come back, stay with us.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
You can prevent being the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Ted Anderson, I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Hi, I'm Alex Jones. When I got on air 20 years ago, I weighed 180 pounds. I lift weights 5 days a week. I could swim 2-3 miles. Then I discovered the New World Order, the globalists, their agenda. I started an Access television show. I was so dedicated to my work and hanging around with radio guys that I began drinking. I began smoking cigars and then even cigarettes. I transformed from looking like a white Bruce Lee to looking like a Jabba the Hutt. So I began a journey 5 years ago to shed the almost 100 pounds. I started taking Super Male Vitality and saw dramatic results in just a few weeks. When I added to the mix the key products developed by Dr. Group for InfoWarsLife.com, the results were incredible. Take the InfoWarsLife.com challenge today at InfoWarsLife.com or give our crew a call. They can answer all your questions or tell you about any of the specials at 888-253-3139.
It's very easy to be a criminal. All you need to burglarize a home is one simple household tool, a pair of scissors. If your home security system can be compromised by a criminal using scissors, then you're making it easy for them. Almost every home security system, even those sold by big-name companies, has a weakness. The phone line. You shell out $1,500, get locked into a long-term contract, and think you're safe. But a burglar can destroy your alarm in seconds with one snip. And when a burglar cuts your phone line, you're defenseless. Simply Safe Home Security is the smarter choice. Built by Harvard engineers, Simply Safe uses a wireless connection to call the cops. Scissors can't cut it. And that means your home stays safe. 24/7 professional monitoring is under $15 a month with no contract. Simply Safe Home Security keeps you safer than the other guys for half the cost. Protect your home with the alarm you can trust. Simply Safe. Go to simplysafedefense.com now for an exclusive 10% offer. That's simplysafedefense.com.
Last year, in the Nevada desert, one family took a stand for freedom. Numanna Food Storage was the first and only company to support the rights of the Bundys. While others stood down, Numanna took donations and provided storable foods to the men at Bunkerville. Founded by patriots who believe in liberty, Numanna Food Storage is GMO-free, great-tasting, and easy to prepare. Food is freedom. Buy Numanna today at PowerPrepper.com. Numanna Food Storage you'll love to eat at PowerPrepper.com.
Who has over 65 seed varieties of 34 different vegetables?
Down to Earth.
Who has over 63,000 seeds packaged to last 50 years?
Down to Earth.
Whose seeds can be frozen to maintain germination?
Down to Earth seeds. No hybrids, no GMOs, just proven old-time seed varieties grown all over the country by our grandparents. Our kids have the best variety and the largest quantities of vegetable seed for the best price. Get your food security now at downtoearthseeds.com or call 870-427-3039.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host. As I point out in the last segment, we're going to be joined in the next hour, Paul Joseph Watson, talking about the war on cash. JP Morgan Chase is now banning storage of cash in safety deposit boxes. But yesterday, we talked about the article that Kit Daniels put out over the weekend. Automakers want to outlaw gearheads from working on their own cars. We talked about how the Association of Global Auto Manufacturers, a lobbying firm for 12 manufacturers, was basically going to outlaw people working on their car at home. This is something we've never seen before. As the EFF pointed out, what is novel is prohibiting people from actually working on their cars. But I'm going to point out a couple of differences. I want to show you what this is going to look like, because in the article, what this Association of Car Manufacturers is asking the government to do is to take out an exemption to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act that allows people who own their cars to work on their cars, because now they're so heavily controlled by computers. They want to take out that exemption. So I'll tell you how this is going to play out, because we can see what's being done now by John Deere on tractors. And also we've had a statement from General Motors weighing in on that. Before I do, I just want to let you know that we've got a sale at InfoWarsLife.com. We have Silver Bullet now at 50% off. That's $15 per bottle off. It's normally $29.95. This is powerful 30 parts per million colloidal silver. This preparedness grade. We have sold out in the past. Now is a good time to stock up for 2015, especially since it's 15% off. You'll save $15 per bottle. That's at InfoWarsLife.com. Silver Bullet. Now, you want to know what this is going to look like when they ban you from working on your car? We can already see how it looks at farms. And this is part of what the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Transatlantic Partnership, is going to do. They're radically expanding all the definitions of copyright. This all began in 1998 with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Now, one of the things that's in Kit Daniels' article, it's on Infowars.com, says, allowing vehicle owners, this is what the Auto Alliance says, if you allow vehicle owners to add and remove electronic control programs at whim, it's highly likely to take vehicles out of compliance with federal requirements. You understand how this is all working. They're putting these black boxes in. All the black boxes are now required. Any new car that you buy as of, I think it was last fall, doesn't matter what manufacturer, they're required to have a black box. It's going to record everything you do, how quickly you accelerate, what the G-forces are when you turn, so they can evaluate how you're driving. It's going to record top speeds. It's going to record a lot of things, not just before the accident. They're going to be able to mine that data and adjust your insurance rates. And of course, the goal is for them to be able to charge you by mile. So both the insurance companies, as well as the automobile companies, as well as the government, all have a vested interest in robbing you, their slave, because you don't own anything. You're just there to pay them royalty, to pay them fees, to pay them licenses. And if you want to know how this works, it's already being done in farms. There was an article that came out on February the 5th that was on Wired Magazine. And it was a guy who's got a site. His name is, let's see, where's his name? I don't see his name here. Just Kyle Wiens. Okay, he's a founder and CEO of iFixit. It's an online site he's had for about 10 years. The article back at the beginning of February said, new high-tech farm equipment is a nightmare for farmers. And so he recounts the story since he's got this site where he fixes stuff. It's a do-it-yourself community, and he helps people. He's got a neighbor. This neighbor's got a $100,000 John Deere tractor, which they say is about mid-line in terms of the tractors. But he's got a sensor that keeps going out on him. Every time this sensor blows, the engine will not operate. The tractor is dead in the water. So he had him come over and say, can you help me to fix this minor hydraulic sensor? Because every time this happens, he's got to wait for the part to be ordered. The technician's got to come out, so it's dead for 2 days. So he fights with this thing. He tries to get into the tractor engine control unit, the TECU. He can't get in. He's locked out. Actually, it's even got a password to it. So you can't get into your own tractor to look at it. And he says the guy's got a legitimate reason to do this. He would like to be able to fix this, to just get it to work when this hydraulic sensor that operates something doesn't have anything to do with the engine. When that breaks, he'd like to not be out of business. And he'd also like to be able to modify the engine timing. He'd like to get some of the information about how his crops grow that the tractor collects. Okay, but that presumably just belongs to John Deere, not to this farmer. Okay, but he can't do any of that. And then he points out, you understand that farmers have been doing it themselves for generations. I mean, they basically live by tinkering with their own equipment, by fixing things with Bailey wire and duct tape. But we're going to tell you what happens in 21st century America when we come back. And we're going to tell you what General Motors says. They're pushing back very hard against the idea that you own anything. Stay with us. We'll be right back.